What's up, boxing fans? It's Aztec 101 in the ring. So, in this video, I'm going to talk about Jermall Charlo versus Jorge Sebastian Hieland. This is Jermall's introduction to the 160-pound division. His first fight at middleweight. What I'll do is I'll give you guys some stats, break down the fight, give you my prediction, and finish it off with my final thoughts. The fight will be at the Barclays Center, Brooklyn, New York, July 29th. So not this weekend, but next weekend. It should be a good fight. If you guys are looking to watch a fight where there's a good chance of a knockout, watch this one. Keep an eye out for it. Jorge Sebastian Hieland, who I'm going to refer as Hieland by his last name throughout this video. Hieland is walking into this fight with 29 wins, 4 losses, 2 draws. 16 of those wins are by KO. His most recent win is Mateo Damian, who he beat by KO. One thing to note, Mateo Damian appears 5 times in Hieland's resume. So this is far from the first time that they fought, and far from the first time that Hieland has beat him. The most notable win on Hieland's resume is Matthew Macklin. That's what I would say. And you know what? It's really a good fight to watch to get a good idea the type of fighter that Hieland is. You'll really get a sense of his attributes in this fight. Jermall Charlo. Jermall is walking into this fight with an undefeated record. Perfect record, right? 25 wins, 0 losses, 0 draws. 19 of those wins are by KO. His last win was his 19th KO. Julian Williams knocked out an undefeated fighter with the most vicious uppercut a human can land on another human being. I recommend you guys go watch that fight if you haven't seen it. His most notable win is actually a controversial win for me because Austin Trout. It's a fight where it's an important name on his resume, but I honestly feel Austin Trout won that fight. And if you guys go back and watch my post-fight video for Jermall Charlo versus Austin Trout, this is really the fight where I realized that Jermall is too big for his division. He made Austin Trout look like a welterweight. And Trout is not a small guy. But it was very obvious, the size different, the weight difference. It was shown in the type of punches that Jermall Charlo was throwing. And you know, Austin Trout was just landing some really sharp punches and combinations. But everything was just overshadowed because Jermall Charlo was so big. Every time he would land a punch, even if it was a punch that didn't land flush, Trout would move Trout. And it wasn't because necessarily the power. It was just the size difference. So as far as analyzing this fight, I'd say Jermall Charlo, to me, he's a counter puncher. He looks like a counter puncher. The knockout with Julian Williams was counter punching, just in the most brutal form. Jermall Charlo has the reach advantage against a lot of his opponents, and I think he's going to have the reach advantage against Hieland, and the speed advantage. Hieland is not fast at all. What he has is endurance. He's a high volume puncher, likes to get up close, push you up against the ropes, very aggressive, throws a lot of punches, and doesn't get tired. Jermall Charlo, he's somewhat of a headhunter at times. So even though he's able to mix it up, I think he needs his corner to constantly remind him to go to the body. Because if they don't, he's just going to be headhunting. But he can punch to the body. My prediction is Jermall Charlo is going to beat him. I don't know if this is going to be an easy fight, but I definitely do not feel like this is a fight where Jermall Charlo is worried about whether his power will transfer over or won't. He's not fucking gaining weight to get into middleweight. He still has to cut weight to get to middleweight. The guy's a big guy. I mean, yeah, his power is gonna. This is the only thing we're gonna see, though. We're gonna see is he gonna actually have the same effect against guys his own size? That's kind of the question. But Jermall Charlo, very talented. I think he's going to be able to beat Hieland. One of the things I noticed with Hieland is that even though he's a high volume puncher, he keeps his hands down when he's throwing his combinations, and it just leaves him open for a counter. And like I said, Jermall Charlo fights like a counter puncher. So I feel like this favors Jermall. He's going to have opportunities to land big shots against Hieland. And if he pulls the trigger at the right time, I think he's going to knock him out early. Jermall Charlo has a lot of speed too. So Hieland, I don't know if he's going to be able to move fast enough to avoid these punches. I got Jermall Charlo winning by KO, and I would say he's going to be able to do this fairly quickly. So before the 6th round, I would predict that he lands that KO punch. This is a good fight. So my final thoughts on this fight is Hieland's been waiting for that title shot. He's been waiting to get his hands on the WBC title for the past few years now. Jermall Charlo finally realized that he's too big for the division that he was in, so he moved up, and he's going to get a title shot immediately. No problem with that. One thing I noticed with the WBC rankings, though, is that let me tell you what the WBC rankings are right now. So number 1, you got Jorge Sebastian. Number 2, you have Jermall Charlo. Number 3, you have Ryota Murata. Number 4, you have Daniel Jacobs. And number 5, you have David Lemieux. So Jorge Sebastian, Jermall Charlo both take the spots of 1 and 2. And they're fighting next. So I wonder, after this fight, will the winner fight either Daniel Jacobs or David Lemieux? I think that this is a good opportunity for Daniel Jacobs to get his WBC title and walk into another fight with either Golovkin or Canelo, another big fight, with a title on his hand. So that way he doesn't, get gypped in the negotiations. But will he get that opportunity? I don't know if they'll match up Jermall Charlo versus Daniel Jacobs. I don't know. And also the winner, they can also go after David Lemieux. But since Jermall Charlo is with Al Heyman, I think Daniel Jacobs with Al Heyman too, so I would figure an in-house fight would make sense. But we all know that in-house fights take a really long time with Al Heyman. It does. And sometimes he doesn't make the best decision. He lost his opportunity to put in a Keith Thurman against an undefeated Sean Porter, who had the IBF title. At this moment, if that fight would have been made, Keith Thurman would have been holding 3 titles, not 2. So really lost an opportunity there and I don't see that trend, because you see this with other fighters under Al Heyman. I don't see that trend losing steam anytime soon. So there's a good chance that Jermall Charlo and Daniel Jacobs won't happen until maybe a year and a half from now. But hey, this is a good fight. Expect a knockout. That's all I'm saying. I love knockouts. I'm sure you guys do too. Expect one. This is Aztec 101.